It was the kind of headline that makes your stomach drop before your brain even catches up. 3 minutes ago, Palace confirms. Prince Hary, medical emergency. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Social media froze. Group chats lit up. News alerts stacked on top of each other like falling dominoes. And suddenly, everyone was asking the same question. What happened to Prince Hary? The wording alone was enough to send shockwaves. Urgent, emotional, unsettling. A prince. A private clinic. A palace statement. And a phrase that hits harder than most. Mental breakdown. But here's the thing. In moments like this, headlines move faster than facts. Emotion travels quicker than clarity. And speculation fills the silence before official words ever can. So what do we actually know? What did the palace confirm? And what did it very carefully not say? And why does this story feel so raw, so personal, and so painfully believable to millions of people around the world? Let's slow it down, take a breath, and walk through this together. Because the truth of this moment isn't just about Prince Hary. It's about pressure, identity, vulnerability, and what happens when the world never stops watching. And just when you think you understand it, another layer appears. There's a reason stories like this spread at lightning speed. Prince Hary isn't just a public figure. He's a symbol. A man born into unimaginable privilege who has spent the last several years trying, very publicly, to redefine himself outside of it. So when reports surfaced suggesting he had been rushed to a private clinic following what sources described as acute distress, the reaction wasn't curiosity. It was fear. Because people don't just follow Hary's story, they feel it. Parents see a son who lost his mother too young. Veterans see someone who understands trauma. Mental health advocates see a man who dared to speak openly about therapy long before it was fashionable. And suddenly, the question wasn't, is this true? It was, is he okay? But here's where things get complicated. The palace's response, described by many outlets as a confirmation, was brief, controlled, and notably cautious. No diagnosis. No dramatic language. No confirmation of a breakdown. Just concern. Just acknowledgement. Just enough to validate worry, without feeding speculation. And that restraint tells us a lot. Because palaces don't speak casually. Every word is weighed. Every omission is intentional. Which raises an unsettling question. If everything was fine, why speak at all? Let's talk about palace statements. Because they're an art form. When officials confirm concern rather than deny reports, they're doing something subtle but powerful. They're acknowledging a situation without defining it. In this case, the palace reportedly confirmed that Prince Hary had sought medical attention and that his well-being was being taken seriously. That's it. No timeline. No cause. No reassurance beyond the bare minimum. And in royal communications, minimalism often signals sensitivity. Not scandal. Not shame. Sensitivity. That distinction matters. Because mental and emotional health crises don't always look like dramatic collapses. Sometimes they look like exhaustion. Overwhelm. A moment where the weight simply becomes too heavy to carry alone. And if you followed Hary's story, you know that weight didn't appear overnight. It's been building, slowly, visibly, relentlessly. Which leads to the question nobody wants to ask out loud. Was this moment inevitable? One of the great myths about Prince Hary's life is that stepping away from royal duties meant stepping away from stress. If anything, the opposite happened. Because once you leave an institution that defined you, you don't become invisible, you become exposed. Every interview is dissected, every silence interpreted, every emotion scrutinized. And for Hary, the last few years have been a masterclass in emotional whiplash. Public estrangement from family, legal battles over security, relentless media narratives, the pressure of protecting his own family, the expectation to be both vulnerable and resilient at the same time. That's not freedom. That's a different kind of confinement. And mental health professionals will tell you, sustained stress doesn't always explode loudly. Sometimes it implodes quietly, which makes private clinics, not hospitals, not ambulances, suddenly make a lot of sense. Because privacy, in moments like this, isn't luxury. It's necessity. Let's be honest. Mental breakdown is not a medical term. It's a cultural one. It's vague, loaded, emotionally charged. And it gets clicks, but it also does damage. Because it suggests collapse instead of care. failure instead of humanity. What most experts would describe in moments like this is acute psychological distress, something millions of people experience at least once in their lives. The difference is, most people don't experience it under global surveillance. Hary does. And that's why the public reaction matters. Because every time we sensationalize emotional pain, we make it harder for others to ask for help. So here's an aha moment worth sitting with. If seeking medical support is framed as tragedy, how many people stay silent instead? That question hangs heavy over this story and over how it's being told. As expected, the internet didn't react with one voice. Some expressed deep concern and compassion. Others questioned the timing. A few accused the story of being exaggerated or manipulative. That split says less about Hary and more about us. Because vulnerability makes people uncomfortable, especially when it comes from someone we've been told has everything. But pain doesn't care about status. Stress doesn't check bank accounts. Trauma doesn't fade just because the scenery changes. And Hary has been unusually open about that truth, talking publicly about therapy, grief, panic attacks, and emotional burnout. Which leads to another uncomfortable realization. When someone warns you they're struggling, and later appears to struggle, that's not inconsistency. That's continuity. Whether this incident turns out to be a brief health scare or a deeper turning point, one thing is clear. Something has shifted. Silence has replaced visibility. Urgency has replaced narrative control. Care has replaced commentary. And that may be exactly what's needed. Sometimes the strongest move isn't explaining yourself. It's stepping back. For Hary, that could mean fewer appearances, less public commentary, more intentional boundaries. And for the rest of us, it's a reminder that mental health isn't a storyline. It's a responsibility. This story resonates because it touches something universal. What happens when the pressure doesn't stop? When strength becomes expectation? When vulnerability becomes spectacle? Prince Hary didn't invent those questions. He just happens to embody them on a global stage. And that's why this moment, however it unfolds, matters. Not because of drama, but because of recognition. Conclusion, beyond the headline, a moment that deserves humanity. Right now, the most important thing isn't proving or disproving a headline. It's remembering that behind every alert, every rumor, every breaking news banner, there is a human being. A husband, a father, a son still shaped by loss. If Prince Hary sought medical care, that isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And if this moment sparks a broader conversation about emotional limits, boundaries, and asking for help, then something meaningful may come from the noise. Your turn. How did you react when you first saw the headline? Did it worry you? Confuse you? Make you skeptical? Share your thoughts. Talk about it. Because the more openly we discuss mental health, without judgment or sensationalism, the safer it becomes for everyone. And sometimes, that's the most powerful response of all.